Welcome to Daily 5 for Monday, June 26th, 2023. This may be a longer than 5-minute show. That's not good English, but whatever, I'm sticking with it. So it's not necessarily a 5. It may be longer, but I called it a Daily 5 anyway. And I'll be, there's no script in any show, but I really am just kind of speaking off the top of my head because this is more of a reaction episode than anything else. Over on the Twit network, there have been some cuts to shows lately because podcast advertising is in the toilet. And the group over there, Leo and his wife, had started basically a type of premium subscription service, whatever you want to call it. A lot of shows do this now, where essentially their shows are free and you can watch them with ads, and then you could pay a base of $7 or more to get ad-free shows and to support the network. And they had talked about the fact that they needed a certain percentage of people to subscribe to be able to keep the shows that were on. And in fact, wasn't very much. I believe it was 10%. And apparently they did not make that goal. And so some shows have had to be cut back because the ad revenue simply wasn't there. There wasn't the traffic, the viewership to keep those shows going. And one was Hands-On Photography. And by the way, this is not to prioritize any show, because one of the other ones, at least at the time of this recording, is all about Android, a show I liked quite a bit. But Ant Pruitt, who was on our show last year, I cannot believe that was a year ago. I can't believe it's been this long. Time has no meaning. But in any event, Ant was on my show. The main show is our show, so I should say it that way. But on the late night series, and we were, and Ant's a great guy. I mean, I've talked to him from that show and afterwards and in between, and always been a really nice guy and very informative. And, I thought his show was great. I got a lot of and I'm not much of a photographer. I'm really not. I mean, casual at best would really be what you would describe me as, but I always found it very interesting and informational. He did some stuff on video editing, which I thought was really good. And it was always a show that was, I felt, welcoming to people, explain things. And overall, there was a very positive message, which I always appreciate. And I've said myself, if you've ever seen my art streams, of just go create something. Go out there. This isn't difficult. It doesn't have to be challenging. Anybody can do it. You can create. And there is a joy in creation. And I've said that for a long time. And I was really sad to see his show go away. And a lot of it was because there was not the engagement with people sharing the show, generating a community. I don't think anybody could fairly look at the show and say there was any type of deficit in the content. He had great people on, people who were working within the industry, who had lots of different insights and different life experiences and different types of photography that they did. Again, he encouraged people to send in their photos, and he would critique and retouch them. So I don't really think you could look at any of his shows and say, well, it went away because there wasn't an effort. There clearly was an effort. But a lot of it is he's said, and in many episodes he did say, please share the show, generate the viewership, because we needed to keep the show alive. So this was purely a business decision, and not one that wasn't really telegraphed in what the owners of Twit had been saying. And this is a larger industry problem. But I watched his last show, which is roughly 7 minutes or so, where he's basically encouraging people, even in his last show. And I don't know, maybe I'm reading into it, but it seemed like a very emotional episode for him. I'm sure it was. But he was talking about people who say, oh, I should do this. I should be more into photography, and somehow never follow through, and to just do it. Just go shoot stuff. Go take photos. Because it isn't something that should be prohibitive. It isn't something that people can't do. Again, the same kind of thing I say about artwork, and get your kids into artwork and do squiggle drawings with them and all. It's not something that anybody should feel intimidated by. It's not a competition. It's not a type of thing where you have to have a skill that's measured against somebody or something else. So I always love that message from him because it echoes with me. As I've gotten older and I've looked around and I've seen how people that I think are just amazing artists that struggle and can't get ahead, and they're always behind. I mean, I'm very fortunate. I'm exceptionally fortunate that the work that I do and the work that my wife does provides enough income that I can have this hobby, which it is. I'm not a professional illustrator. I mean, yes, I did the magic cards, but that's not, you know what I mean? I'm not a working illustrator. This is always going to be a hobby for me. But that income is enough that I can do that stuff on the side and be able to have the show and not worry about advertising. Our show's never going to make money, and that's been fine, at least so far, because it's subsidized by the fact that I make enough money that I can just host the show and still do it because I enjoy it with Lando, and it's something that we do. I'm also not doing video. I'm not doing any type of massive traffic hosting, anything like that. Obviously, that would incur a lot of costs, but we don't have to worry about that. But one thing that I've said over and over and over, and this is the thing that bothers me about seeing Ant's show go away, is there is a severe undervaluing of creators. And this is not something that I suddenly just came up with because I watched Ant's show. You know, if you saw the episode that I posted over on our YouTube channel, or that Len had posted over on his show, where when we were in Vegas, if you go towards the end of that show, and I know it's tough to look at me and listen to me for that long. Believe me, I don't like it doing it either. It was not fun editing that because I'm like, oh God, this is terrible. This video's awful. But in any event, if you go towards the end of it, there's a point where Len asks what the solution is for the problem he had with YouTube. And as part of my answer, I went on for a couple of minutes about the fact that I feel like people aren't valued, that creators are not valued, that people have gotten used to content just being there. They don't appreciate the work. And look, just so I'm very clear about this, I'm not saying I'm better than anybody. That's not how I'm positioning this. I'm not saying that you should be more, well, in one aspect you should be more like me, but only this one aspect. This very, very rare if you go back to my shows where I'm ever telling people they should do something that I say to do. Believe me, I'm not that type of person. And if you've listened for a while, you know that. But after that show, if you watch that episode, the Vegas episode, one of the people that I talked to was Erin Doherty, who is Len's production designer on Demoniac. And very nice person, and she was great to talk to. And then shortly after the episode, she subscribed to, or donate, what's the word for it? No, she, I guess, supported, whatever. Yeah, it's such a weird word to use. But anyway, she became a supporter. There we go. She became a supporter of our show on Patreon. She's probably the fourth person total to ever do it, maybe five. I mean, that Patreon is never going to make anything. But she supported us at the $5 level, and I immediately took that money and put $3, so over 50% of it, I put into another creator on Patreon immediately. I mean, within 24 hours, I had turned around and taken that and put it towards somebody else. The magic cards that I mentioned, I did get a bunch of money from that, which I'll get taxed pretty badly on next year, I'm sure. Or not next year, but I got taxed on already, and then the ones that I'm selling as the proofs, I'm going to get taxed on those. So I know that money, you don't get all that. But I made a good amount of money. Now, I'm not going to tell you I gave it all away. That would be a lie. I did use it to buy a nice new iPad, to do more artwork on, to do the streams on, and all that type of stuff. But then I also used it to try to get things from creators that I'd admired that maybe I couldn't afford their stuff otherwise. So I bought a print from, oh no, I don't know what her name is. Oh no, I can't remember what the creator's name is. Oh, that's terrible. It's Helen. Oh no, what is her name? I gotta look it up. I'm gonna walk into the other room. So yeah, this is gonna be a long 5. Definitely not a 5. But I bought a print from this artist that I thought just does dynamite work, and I also bought a mug from an artist named Amy Ray Hill. Okay, her name is Helen. I believe that's Musk. Helen Musk, or I think it's Helen Musk Illustrations. It's hard to read. But in any event, I bought a print of hers that I thought was fantastic, a print of Medusa that I thought was just a beautiful piece of work, an original. And then I bought a moon mug from Amy Ray Hill, who is I guess a sculptor would be or a potter? Is there a word for a person who does pottery? Is it potter? Anyway, whatever she would be defined as. But she makes this space coasters, plates, mugs, that type of stuff. And it's not cheap because it's good work. And I'm happy to pay that. But there again, I took the income from a creative work and I tried to turn it around to something else. I've supported Club Twit for a while now. Look, again, this is not me telling people that they should put themselves into receivership to try to support creators. That's not my point. I'm not telling you to forego food or something, or even any entertainment, whatever. I'm not saying you should bankrupt yourself to support creators. But it's not the worst idea to look around and look at what you consume and the creators that you value and see if there is a way that you can help them out. In any way, whether it's an email, it doesn't have to be monetary. Send an email saying, you know what, this is really good stuff and I'm really enjoying it and it helps me out, it makes me feel better. We get those emails from time to time. Some of the stuff that I value most is not people who've donated to the show. I mean, don't get me wrong, I appreciate that too. But we've gotten emails where somebody said, this show got me through a tough time. That's as valuable as somebody donating $5 or $10 a month. It really is. That's not a BS line. That's true. Do that thing for somebody else, because it's pretty likely that most of the creators, unless they're big celebrity names or you know for a fact that they're raking in a ton of money, but most of the creators, this is musicians, writers, whoever, doesn't matter. A lot of these people are probably struggling to be successful at their creative endeavor. Most artists and creative people I know, that's not their main job. It's something they do out of a passion for it. And then they have another job that allows them to even be able to do that type of thing. That's probably most of the people that you follow as well. Not all necessarily, but most. So do some little thing to support them. Again, it doesn't have to be monetary. If it's an email, that's great. I'm not saying everybody can afford to do everything, and I certainly wouldn't want anybody to feel guilty or like they should, again, go without something to support somebody else. But look around at the people who create the things that you enjoy. And if you can, in whatever way you can, support these people, because there's no guarantee they're going to be around forever. And I don't mean they're going to die or anything. I just mean that there may be a day where the economics change and they can't create anymore. And that's when you're going to wish that you had done something sooner. Do it now. Take 5 or 10 minutes and do something to value the creators that create the things that you enjoy. Because again, when these people are around, support them. That allows them to create those things that you're enjoying. And whatever method it is, again, doesn't have to be anything huge. I'm not saying go and take out a loan to be able to support anybody, but try to support creators, because I feel like the world is becoming very, very unappreciative of what it's got. And like everything in life, that's great until suddenly it's missing, and then you wonder why you didn't appreciate it sooner. Anyway, now I've talked for a very, very long time, so I'll shut up and say thank you to everybody who supported our show in whatever way you have, because we really do appreciate it. Later.